This is one of the games I've actually started this entire series for. Sonic 3 Knuckles is one of the best Sonic games, or at the very least, one of my favorite. For a series that often struggled to keep its level of quality and polish, this game stands at the peak of an entire era of Sonic. So much so that when they tried to revive games from that era, it's this game they use as a framework for... Oh god, there's a long time until we reach that game, Sonic Mania. Let's get into it, shall we? I'm just so excited! Jumping into Sonic 3 Knuckles, you can either start your progress from where you stopped at Sonic 3 or start a new file. If you do the latter, well, you're gonna play the Sonic 3 levels first, and then you can just pass everything I've said from that video. TLDR, game good, but game short. Very quickly into Mushroom Hill, the first level, something interesting happens. Throughout Sonic 3, you've been caught off guard by Knuckles at every turn. However, after his pretty nasty fall at Lodge Base, you actually get to spy on him and gain access to his hidden base. And I want to take a moment because as a kid, this is what has gotten the biggest gasp out of me. Welcome to the Hidden Palace. This place always felt a bit magical to me. The music, the visuals, they were unlike most things I've ever seen and heard from Sonic at this point. And then this happens. The Chaos Emeralds you've collected so far escape your grasp and then merge into those bigger Super Emeralds. This effectively forfeits your Super Form if you had any, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. After all, you've still got about half of the game to go. Resetting your emeralds forces you to play without the game-breaking super form for a while, and also encourages you to exploit those upcoming stages again for a chance to find a giant ring. Most importantly though, giving up your Chaos Emeralds gives you a chance to reactivate those long-lost Super Emeralds by touching their grey-out shells and facing a new barrage of more difficult special stages. You are definitely going to be grateful you're playing on Sonic Origins for some of these. They tend to be idiot-proof, and while I can't speak for you, I am an idiot. Now, these emeralds, when all united, give you access to a Hyper Form, which is basically a super form enhanced in two ways. First, they're immune to drowning, and second, they each have a different ability. Hypersonic has a double jump that you can aim in any direction that also happens to damage all enemies on screen. He also has the power to give you a seizure, but with all this colors flashing and all. Hyper Tails, or Super Tails in the original, as he was not able to enter any powered up form with the regular Chaos Emeralds before Origins, has 3 Super Flickies summoned to his side, automatically attacking enemies next to him. And Hyper Knuckles just kinda has the same kills all enemies on screen effects as Hypersonic, but you need to collide with a wall while gliding above certain speed, so it's much less easy to use. Note that all of this, Hidden Palace Preview and Hyper Forms, is exclusive to the combined version of this game. After this unique encounter, you get to play the regular Sonic and Knuckles stages, so let's talk about them. Like last time, we'll walk through them in order. Mushroom Hill Zone, a bouncy, speedy level with a bit of goofy music that I do dearly love. There's a lot of gimmicks here and there, like a seesaw that helps you get to higher roads. It's a bit weird for a first level, but in the combined version of Sonic 3 Knuckles, it doesn't feel as jarring. Flying Battery Zone, that's just my favorite classic Sonic zone and music track, so you know, no biggie. This zone happens on a blimp and you just speed through the whole thing. Take down turrets, exhibit travel through the air. It feels dangerous, it feels hype, and I love it. Sandalpolis Zone, it's a bit too long. Act 1 happens in the desert as you approach a pyramid and eventually face the Guardian. The boss is a bit interesting the first time and doesn't take damage like a regular one, so you go and figure out you can push into quicksand instead. It's a bit too long on repeat playthroughs. Act 2 happens within the pyramids themselves. You end up freeing ghosts on an Eggman capsule. That's interesting because it implies that some of the little flickies inside died. And you have to race through the level where the ghosts get progressively meaner and scarier as the lights go dim. Don't mock me, I was actually scared as a child. At any rate, there's some looping segments, it's still a very long act, so bleh, not my favorite. Lava Reef Zone, maybe a bit of a controversial take, but I actually really like this zone. The theming is beautiful here, such a pleasing level to look at. It honestly might be the most beautiful of all classic games. The music also helps, especially the Act 2 track, which is also used for Hidden Palace Zone. Now this is a bit different, it's only one act and a very short one at that. That begins right after Lava Reef's Act 2. As Knuckles, it only serves as your bridge to the next zone, but as Sonic or Tails, this is where you finally confront Knuckles in a fight in a very easy fight. Especially as Sonic, seriously, the insta-shield just makes an entire joke out of this fight. This is also where Eggman moves in on the Master Emerald and where friendship blossoms. There's also a bit of foreshadowing that will be very relevant for like way too many games, we'll talk about it later. Gas Sanctuary Zone, maybe also an unpopular opinion, but I don't really like this track. The tin tin sound is too loud and grating, even if the melody is nice. Anyway, I flip-flop between liking and unliking this zone growing up. Current position is liking it, but don't quote me on it. Sometimes I can find it a bit too grating to deal with. The FX zone, it's a mess, but a mess that I like. It has some gimmicks one could call annoying for sure. That trail of light right to move around sure is long. The low gravity mechanic is a bit hard to figure out the first time around, and god, that elevator boss! It's a bitch to do if you're not good with your insta shield or don't have a super form. But I don't know, I like rushing through this zone, I think it plays nicely. And finally, the Doomsday Zone, a boss act you can only play if you at least had at any point unlocked Supersonic, whether you place your emeralds in the Hidden Palace or not. Or you can just go in as Hypersonic for the overkill. This is everything. This is the start of all of those glorious boss fights we will see together on this very channel, where a single mote of golden light illuminates the abyss and vanquishes machines and gods. I'm hyping this up, but means forces us to be a bit more modest here. But still, I find this setup so incredibly cool, and there's a reason it's part of the finale of a lot of these games going forward. I love that. Maybe you've picked up on it from my descriptions, but stages in the Knuckles half are way more variable in quality than the Sonic 3 ones. They can be way better, or quite a bit worse, but don't be fooled. The worst stage from this game can probably fight with a majority of the stages from the previous ones, no problem. I love a majority of those, so when they're bundled in a single game, that's a really strong lineup on display. We've talked quite a lot about what Sonic 3 brings, and the full package brings all of that in. See, while standalone Sonic & Knuckles ditches Tails and the save feature, Sonic 3 Knuckles keeps the best of both worlds, which also means we now get to play as Knuckles both in general, and in the Sonic 3 stages especially. A funny dynamic is created with 3 characters. Tails' easy mode, as his kit allows you to just skip challenges and make exploration very easy. Sonic is normal mode, as you're more required to play by the rules, but a little bit of exploration will let you bend them a little bit, especially with the elemental shields. They don't exactly shy away from giving you a Flame Shield and Lava Reef or a Bubble Shield and Hydrocity. And Knuckles is hard mode. Now, why is that? Knuckles have legit strong abilities. You can glide in the air, if you hit a wall doing so you can climb up or down. It's generally fun to use to explore the stages, and they're quite fun to explore. Don't you just love to see things coming together? However, there are 2 things when it comes to Knuckles. First, he actually goes through different routes than Sonic and Tails. His story happens a little bit after theirs. And as we saw previously, that man knows of all of the shortcuts here. It's his damn island. I remember as a kid crushing that Rock and Angel Island I've seen so many times as Sonic, that was mind-blowing. Secondly, Knuckles is actually a bit less agile than his 2 new friends. You run a bit slower, and most importantly, you jump a little bit lower. The new paths take account for that, to give you a fairer challenge, but a challenge nonetheless. You'll be asked to get a good, proper handle on the Echidna and how differently he plays than Sonic, especially with some bosses. Most notably, don't fight Sonic at Hidden Palace, and don't even go through the Death Egg, thank god. No, your story ends at Sky Sanctuary where you fight Super Mecha Sonic. That fight was kind of my canon event. Like, Death Egg Robot Sonic 2 definitely took a lot of tries, but I chalked that up to that fight being actually fairly badly designed, so that was fine. This one, I don't even have an excuse. And being said, having those 3 characters live together in the same cartridge feels so nice. I've said so a few times already, but you need to have good stages and a good core gameplay both. Sonic 3 does that, and also adds good variations for each character. I fucking love this game. Admittedly, I tend to mostly play with Sonic and Tails on replay. This way I can use Sonic, the Elemental Shield's abilities, and ask Tails to fly me around, so it's a bit of an all-in-one package. But if you're playing this game for the first time, please try a Knuckles run sometime afterwards. I can promise it will be a lot of fun. Now I shall talk to you about the story. That's right, this game actually impacts the overall narrative of the franchise an entire fucking lot. Not just by the introduction of Knuckles, which, of course, is a big one, but also by its very setting and what it brings to the table. Angel Island, or the Floating Island, depending on your sensibilities, is a location that comes back quite often. One of the only things left behind by Knuckles' tribe, it shelters the Master Emerald, which both allows it to fly, and which can be used to control the Chaos Emerald. The mural in Hidden Palace shows us both the results of the confrontation in this game, but can also be interpreted to being a foreshadowing to the Sonic adventure, which shows us the fall of the Echidna civilization. Some people kind of see Perfect Chaos versus Super Sonic. I don't really agree, but I can kind of see it. Sonic Adventure 2, because of Gerald's actions, shows us a character that was shaped by what he knew of the Echidna's legacy in Shadow. Yeah, I'm a full-time lover of the theory that Shadow looking like Super Sonic is not a coincidence, considering we knew, for a fact, Gerald was getting all kinds of freaky with Angel Island. And due to his journal, we know he was thinking of a creature able to handle Chaos Emerald energy through organic tissue. Sonic Chronicles, that game baths in its Kindle lore, and even expands it quite considerably. Sonic Battle, Sonic Advance, Sonic Frontiers, a lot of game uses elements of all this lore to their advantage, and man, it feels so right to think some of the greater story beats in the franchise come from this lovely little thing. Yes, I'm obsessed with this game, you can probably tell. Oh, also, there's Sonic 2 and Knuckles. Yeah, if you combine the cartridge of Sonic and Knuckles with Sonic 2, you can play as Knuckles in Sonic 2. Now it's just a mode in Sonic Origins, so it's less cool, but that was nice. Knuckles was also a damn cheater because you kept your ranks after a special stage and they had lower requirements when you played as him, so it was very easy to play as Super Knuckles. I guess it was way too hard for players to take revenge on Sonic 2, I don't know. Sonic 1 didn't get that treatment, instead you could play just loose levels of blue spheres, like a shit ton of blue spheres, and I spent way too much of my childhood on that. Wow, that's Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Two games that I love very, very dearly, some of my favorite games ever. I'm so happy that I finally got to talk about them here. It's an important milestone to me. These are some of the games I've made this channel for. So, let's do our usual thingy. Should you play this game? Please do, actually, I'm begging you. Which version should you play? Second verse, same as the first, except Sonic 3 and Knuckles is even more limited than Sonic 3. Just play Sonic Origins, and if you wanna make me happy, grab a mod restoring the Sonic 3 tracks to the originals. Where would the Citron rank it on the tier list? Above S tier, this Citron's most favorite and precious tier. That game is just that good to me. And with this game, we technically finished all main games of the classic era. So you all know what's coming next, right? A game that is often touted as ambitious, imperfect perhaps, but a bold, new step for Sonic, introducing many new characters. I'm talking about... shit, there's this one actually, damn it!